Mark, how good was that game on Saturday evening at the Aviva?
It was fantastic. This is a really budding rivalry, isn't it, between these two teams? It's just brilliant. As you mentioned at the top of the show, it really is getting back to former heights. And for it to go down to the wire again, and there were even kind of flashbacks to that Jack Crowley drop goal moment when Munster broke down the left through Conor Murray, and it's 77 minutes in, but Ronan Keller and Jack Boyle come up with a brilliant tackle, and Caelan Darth turns the ball over, and you think that's that, and there's still time for a bit more drama. And Ty Byrne turns the ball over on the Munster try line as Leinster look for that bonus, and Munster end up trying to attack out from deep again. So it was full of thrills and spills. There was definitely loads in it that both teams will feel we can be a lot better in that area. There was errors and error count was high, but that's often because there was so much pressure being applied. Incredible occasion, and it's really worth kind of dwelling on that because it really is incredible. You look around the other league competitions that are ongoing at the moment, and of course most of them don't have a stadium big enough, but they're never going to get a crowd that big this early in the season. Maybe even in the top 14. I know they have some good stadiums, some incredible support, but to get a crowd like that in a kind of, November evening, round 6 of a URC without much jeopardy in terms of vying for final positions, it's really incredible. And I think there was loads of instances of high quality of players showing their worth, their current ability, their potential as well, and a hell of a lot of big moments to discuss. So it really was brilliant. It was heartening to see, and it's continuing to set a kind of new standard for this, what is becoming again epic rivalry.
Well, let's dwell on that turnout a little bit, Birch, because as Murray says, it's a credit to the URC and obviously, especially to Rugby in Ireland at the moment, to the general interest in it. Like, I was astonished when it was announced during the week that 45,000 tickets had sold, to be totally honest. And it was probably because of the lack of jeopardy, relatively speaking, to which Murray alludes there. And actually seeing the scenes at the Aviva and seeing a lot of people who would be more so pundits of other leagues, analysts in the Premiership, for example, or even French analysts, just being really impressed by it, kind of filled me with a little bit of pride. I felt a little bit smug about it, I have to say. But like, it is a pretty good achievement, isn't it? Just for rugby in the country to garner that much interest for a fixture like this at this time of year.
Yeah, I know he got criticised for saying it, but Sexton's thing about the public haven't fallen out of love with rugby after the World Cup. In actual fact, I think we're actually getting new people into games, and I've been like, that was amazing on Saturday night to just about fill out the Viva. But I was in Toolan the week before for the Stormers game. I thought the crowd was really healthy, and chatting to people on the way in. So I park up there in the college, and you kind of get to chat to people on the way in, and they're just loving provincial rugby again, and Connacht as well. I mean, the sports ground, they had a couple of games, home games to start, but straight away, just big crowds, people behind it. So there's a new interest in Irish rugby, and it's probably, as Murray said, it's not being mirrored elsewhere. Top 14 is still a big competition, but we bounced out of the World Cup with an appetite there. And to be honest, my good feeling the week of that quarterfinal, or the week after we got beaten, was, how are we going to pick ourselves up from this? And like, I was looking at the Champions Cup games thinking, a bar La Rochelle away, there wasn't a really meaty one that that jumped up at me, but I should have just thought about the Interpros, and now that we've had that good game and we've had a good contest and big crowd, and you look at what's coming now, another round of Interpros, Champions Cup, Interpros, Champions Cup, like, it's going to be pretty relentless, and it's brilliant.
The key is we're getting to better quality Interpros. It's only a few years ago that they were a bit shit, if we're being honest. There was always rotation or people being rested. They were often around that festive period. I'm sure we'll have certain frustrations around some of them maybe in that period again. But the key here was that it was both of them going all out as much as they could, excluding injuries, but full strength early in the season. And that helps a lot. And especially because the semi-final is so recent in our minds as well. So the more opportunity they get, and encouragement probably, and actual access to the players to make sure that these Interpros are the ones where they use all those frontline players as much as possible, I think is really important. And yes, you've got to respect the rest of the competition. It's important to go and beat Glasgow or whoever, but if you have an opportunity to use your best player in either that game or the Munster game or the Connacht or Ulster game, then hopefully it'll be favoured towards the Interpros. And You're so right, Birch. The other thing that attracts people is competence, sporting competence, and the Irish teams are good at the moment, and the talent that's coming through is really good. So that even when there is a slight drop off, it's still high quality and it's still really exciting. And that's been probably the best thing about post World Cup is the younger guys who are kind of making a name for themselves. And there was bits and pieces of that even in this game. You look at Joe McCarthy taking a few more steps forward. Even Crowley, I know he's not that young, he's not that inexperienced anymore, but a guy like that kind of bossing a game, Tom Ahern getting an opportunity and taking it, that bit definitely, I think, excites fans as well.